I don't. You don't need, if you click it 3 times and hit like, or if you click 3,000 times, there's no money in that for me, okay? So it's nothing to it doesn't matter. I don't need to have a certain amount of followers. I like to engage with people on social media, talk to them back and forth, and share my thoughts from anything from Tom Brady to my kids. But it's so interesting what tweets just kind of get crazy and go nuts. And I'm trying to find the tweet now, and of course it's been retweeted a lot. But since we started the show, okay, here it is. So the other night, I just thought this was an anecdotal thing from the Super Bowl. I ran into 2 guys from Jacksonville here in Atlanta last night. They're going to the game, and they are Jaguars fans. They are not Saints fans, but said they are wearing Saints jerseys to the game because New Orleans should be here.
Okay, cool.
Well, that tweet obviously has hit New Orleans and everywhere else. And a lot of people on Twitter are like, all right, enough with the New Orleans stuff. It's over.
So
get
this
over
thing
it.
caught fire.
Kind of like the people that say, get over Miles Jack wasn't down.
Which
I do think is a little bit absurd, because if your city got robbed like that and your team got robbed like that, I'd probably still be ticked off about it 2 weeks later, and when the 2 teams are playing for a Super Bowl. But then there's the Saints side of it. They're saying, good, yeah, go get them, thanks to the Jags fans. And it's just it's so interesting on social media. Like, I did not expect that, like, it was the biggest tweet of the week. Say, like the numbers on that tweet are ridiculous.
Just trying to give somebody weird props, man. Yeah.
And just really sharing a story. I didn't care. This wasn't an opinion piece. And some people are like, well, you stop with the New Orleans shouldn't be. I didn't say it. It was I'm sharing a story.
Buzzwords are huge, Brent. Buzzwords are huge.
All right, so that's the latest on that. Let's get to Stay in Your Lane. We got to get to this halftime stuff before we get to DeAndre Francois.
All right, Stay in Your Lane. Cruise control. Brent, there's actually a UFC fight this weekend that nobody seemed to talk about at all. Nope, that was boxing.
Oh,
Sergey
that was
Kovalev.
Yeah, sorry, that was boxing.
Who actually killed somebody one time in the ring. Scary dude. Anyways, there's a UFC fight as well on UFC Fight Pass. No one talked about it, whatever.
Well, it was Super Bowl weekend. I'm not sure that was good marketing.
No, I get it. But so cruise control has to go to my man, Jose Aldo. This fighter's kind of on a swan song a little bit. He was the co-main event, fought in his native country, Brazil. Those of you who are kind of pressed for the MMA game, remember him losing to Conor McGregor, lost his belt, holds the record for, I think, most title defenses next to Mighty Mouse Johnson and Anderson Silva. Didn't get a chance to get his belt back. Lost to Max Holloway, was kind of on his way out, wasn't looking good. Had a resurgence against Jeremy Stevens, and all of a sudden knocked out Rento Moriacano. So the fact that I think he's number 3 in the world right now, like I said, he's on a swan song. He's probably got 2 or 3 more fights left. But this dude's still making a name for himself. He's been doing it forever. He's a legend, known for being a former soccer player, transitioned to MMA, one of the best athletes ever to step in the octagon. Props to Jose Aldo. He's got a few more fights left, like I said. It'd be cool to see him fight for the belt one more time.
All right, cruise control.
Cruise control. All right,
time to pump the brakes at 5:35 on a Monday.
Pumping the brakes
here on ESPN 690.
I mean, do I even got to really set the mood here? Listen.
You want a little Maroon 5 play in the background?
We might have to. Listen, the Super Bowl.
Come on, Kuz. He's never going to get it in time.
Kuz, what do you got? All right. He's shaking his head no. Okay,
whatever. I didn't think so. I should have probably prepped him for that.
So, on the lowest scoring total game in Super Bowl history, we needed a great halftime show. Now, there was WWE going on the WWE Network. If you didn't watch that, you were probably watching Maroon 5. Listen, I had hype going into this. Adam Levine of Maroon 5. Was it worth not eating a single carb for 8 weeks just so you can take off your shirt in 50-degree temperatures just to show off your pecs and maybe your cool new sweet tattoos? Was it worth it? Because let me tell you something. I sat in this room, I sat in Alabama, and I sat in Atlanta, and what did I do, Brent? I defended Maroon 5. I said it's going to be an okay halftime show. They're going to do the SpongeBob SquarePants song everyone was talking about. There was a lot of hype about it. You were there, Brent. You saw it. All right, keep your turn up before I throw up anymore. Anyways, I'm serious. I can't concentrate if that song's playing. Kuz, you're ruining my whole segment here.
I'm sorry.
I'm going to block you on Twitter again. Just keep it up. All right. Anyways, so getting back to my point. Oh, my God.
He goes off the rails so quick. I mean, he goes to the blocking you on Twitter like that, man.
Whoa, I mean, hey, desperate times call for desperate measures. Anyways, getting back to my point. Listen, Maroon 5, you played She Will Be Loved, one of the best songs of all time. It's definitely a banger. Pretty interesting video, too, if you guys have ever seen that video. Very fascinating video. She will be loved. But you teased the SpongeBob SquarePants song. You teased it for 10 seconds during the Super Bowl halftime show, and then all of a sudden you just bring in Travis Scott like nothing ever happened. I defended you, but I cannot defend you anymore. You lost a fan, Adam Levine, in Maroon 5. You've been downgraded from Maroon 5 to Diet Imagine Dragons. You ruined the football halftime show, and that's exactly how I feel about it. Cry me a river.
Who else would you have preferred?
I mean, I think the obvious choice would be Outkast.
Okay. But, listen, I understand, and, like, I think the NFL was an interesting spot.
Do you want me to walk out, Kuz? Seriously. Brent, can you tell me to stop? This is ridiculous.
I'd rather hear Travis Scott.
Okay, you're saying.
But, well, the NFL, I think, is in an interesting spot. You have to realize, okay, they're in Atlanta. You want to celebrate Atlanta. The music heritage there is hip-hop, right?
Yep.
A ton of rappers.
Yep.
So they involve them. But you've got to remember, this is a global audience. This is a global audience. Your demographic is all over the map. And so from a top 40, I have no idea where everybody ranks in the music genre. Like, I mean, I think that's why you see country music's performances all over the place. Even in pregame, Tim McGraw did something.
Yeah.
Because that genre is the hot genre, right?
Yeah.
So I think the NFL is in a tricky spot here. They couldn't go all rap, all hip hop, even though in the ATL that would have been the best celebration of it. You wouldn't have spoken to all of your viewers and had people tuned in.
Well, here's my issue with that. You talk about from a global scale, from a popularity scale. Hey Ya by Outkast was the number one song worldwide in 2007. All right? It was the number one song. Miss Jackson, I think, was top 10 worldwide. Sorry, Miss Jackson. So those are two big songs right there. And I'm sure Maroon 5's got some big songs as well, but can they claim number one song overall of that year? Not sure if they can.
I don't know where Sugar or whatever song ranks. I'll have to look it up in the break.
She Will Be Loved will always be a banger to me. But and I do agree. You have to have something besides rap because you have to kind of cater to all
demographics.
Demographics. And get no mistake about it. And I said this before about Maroon 5. They brought Maroon 5 to get the female demographic. You know, I mean, guys are going to watch the Super Bowl regardless. I think they want to get some fresh faces and some different demographics in. So, yeah, let's bring in the female audience because they're into Maroon 5. They're into Adam Levine. It's just my issue that they tease the whole SpongeBob thing for so long and then they don't come through with it.
Over under on how many tattoos were new for Levine.
Oh, man, those look pretty fresh.
Like, I'll give you over under at 2.5.
I mean, were they actually real or temporary?
That's a good question.
There you go.
Cracker Jacks?
I'm going to say new. In the past 3 months, I'm going to say 3. Because he knew he was taking his shirt off the whole time.
And you know, I did think the same thing. That guy probably hasn't eaten a carb and has worked out like 3 times a day for the last 2 months.
And it was 50 degrees outside. I hope you feel special.
Well, it was kind of in. Well, yeah, it
was open, Brent. It was cold.
It wasn't cold.
It was cold. Hey, Jared Leto, you are not Adam
Like
Levine.
I said,
that's all I'm going to say.
By the way, once I hit my diet and off-season plan, I'll be doing the show with my shirt on. Shirt off. You hope it's a shirt on, but it might be my shirt off.
Hey.
All right.
If we get viewers, we get viewers.
FSU is in trouble at the quarterback spot, and we put a bow on Super Bowl 53 next on ESPN 690. Hope you're having a nice Monday, everybody, and hope you enjoyed Super Bowl Sunday. I know it wasn't the most entertaining game, but still parties and friends and family. I mean, that couldn't have been that bad.
Especially because the game was pretty short, too. I think it ended at 10:30, so
yeah, even
a lot
before
of people
that,
got to get their 8 hours of sleeping.
Yeah, the first half flew by, obviously 3-0, and the clock running quite a bit. So, final thoughts on Super Bowl 36, at least for a Monday. We'll have a Super Bowl 36. I keep saying 36 because that was the last time the Rams and Patriots played. So I probably said that a couple of times today. Super Bowl 53 is the one we're at. It's amazing that symmetry. I really felt like the Patriots are amazing in this sense, how they've morphed over the years. When they won Super Bowl 36 in 2002, they did it by defense. Tom Brady gets all the love, and Adam Vinatieri gets all the love, but they did it because they slowed down one of the greatest offenses in the NFL in that era at that time in St. Louis. Then they start throwing the ball all over the place. Tom Brady's carrying everybody on his back. They throw it seemingly 50 times a game, and they spread everyone out. And they've got Randy Moss, and they've got the next guy, and from all these Wes Welkers to everyone else. and they win that way. Well, now they win with this defensive effort, power running game, and a couple of big plays in the passing game. So they've been able to morph over time, which really probably shows the genius of Belichick, the greatness of Brady, possibly more than anything. I mean, usually you are what you are. Even over a 15-year period, you do things you do well, and they don't figure you out. Well, the Patriots are hard to figure out because they have this ability to change, week to week.
Evolve, adapt. I mean, you know what they say, you either adapt or you die, and there's no one that can adapt like the New England Patriots. I mean, I don't know, Brady, it's starting to be a broken record, with the roster that they have, the way Brady, just raises everybody up around him, the genius of Bill Belichick. I mean, I could sit here and I could tell you what that defense did for 2 hours. The show's not long enough of just the different facets that they put in. And there's something that people haven't really talked about, which I want to quick go over, is the fact that defense reminded me a lot of, I think it was 2010 when the Jets played the Patriots in the divisional game, and the Jets ended up beating them. That defense was a lot of what the Jets were running against the Patriots. So the fact that Belichick can kind of go back, be a student of the game, and realize, hey, like that team that the Patriots had were kind of built like the Rams, and the fact they had Danny Woodhead, who was a lot like Todd Gurley, where he likes to go outside and run. So they kind of adjusted to that. So it's a genius of Belichick. It's and the word gets thrown around so much, but ego, like he's got a big ego. I don't think that's really the case at all. He checks it all the time, and you saw it again against the Rams.
Well, the other part of the Patriots, just to that point, one more point to slam home, and you were talking about the slot receivers and who would you take away, and we kind of had that discussion earlier in the show. Well, the craziness about Brady is really you go into a game and he could make James White a star. He could make Edelman a star. Yeah. He could make Gronk a star. He could make name your guy a star. And you really don't know going into a game which one. I mean, look at all their Super Bowls. It's been a different guy almost every single time.
Chris Hogan a couple years ago.
Hogan
where that
was
dude
a
come
star
from?
For that year.
Yeah.
That's right.
Got cut by the Bills, Dolphins,
and then was making crazy plays.
It's insane.
And that's Brady. To me, he says, okay, you're going to take away that. I'll go over here. And that's really been his greatness. I got to get to this DeAndre Francois story.
Absolutely.
Florida State quarterback dismissed by Willie Taggart. The story, if you don't know the background of the story, Francois' girlfriend posted a video to her Instagram account, and it had audio of a woman and a man fighting. And in the video, the man threatens to assault the woman and hit her in the face. Now, there is no true identification of this, but the assumption of everyone, especially since he's now been dismissed, is that DeAndre Francois. And he's had a couple of run-ins in different ways with the code of conduct, if you will. And Willie Taggart said, that's enough. You're out of here. Who knows what DeAndre Francois' future would have been? And
according to the Tampa Bay Times, it was just released that
just came out.
Francois' girlfriend actually just went on Instagram, went on this long rant, but to summarize it, she said that she was upset with him and that he actually never hit her, and it's been blown out of proportion. So here we go, a whole nother chapter to this story.
Yeah, and so that's what's interesting.
Yeah.
Was this guilty before proven innocent? And that's what happens in these cases? Or was this, you know what, DeAndre, we've put up with a bunch of stuff already. Last year, there were some questions about his leadership, and we're done with you. And there's also this thought that Francois wasn't going to make it to the fall anyway. He was going to finish up some classes, transfer out, not even be at Florida State. The bigger picture of this is, in between all the Francois stuff, I think is twofold. One is Willie Taggart and Florida State have a quarterback problem because they really don't have a lot on their roster. And now they have to go to work. I mean, signing day is Wednesday. This could be a painful year at the quarterback position. And I'm not sure people thought DeAndre Francois was going to save the day anyway. But it just adds to maybe the emptiness there at the quarterback position. But I want to go back. Forget about Willie Taggart in this story. If you go back to after Jameis Winston, and you knew the problems they had with Jameis Winston, some of those petty, but some of them very serious in terms of the allegations that he was later found innocent of. After Jameis leaves, this recruiting class has DeAndre Francois and DeAndre Johnson. And now both have been connected with possible either verbal or physical abuse